There are places in the world that do not need promotion, do not need check-in photos, do not need an invitation to be visited, yet the mere mention of their name is enough to make millions of people fall silent in a very private moment. Mecca is one such place. Mecca is not just a city, it is a direction. No matter where one is on earth, when the time for prayer arrives, millions of people turn toward the same point, as if the world itself were briefly recalibrated around an invisible axis. Mecca does not appear in the imagination the way Paris does with its elegance or Bali with its lush beauty. This city was never built to soothe the eye. The first impression of Mecca is often the white of simple pilgrimage garments, the black of a single structure standing still amid a sea of moving bodies, and the harsh desert sun washing over every surface. There are no vivid colors to hold the gaze, no soft curves to evoke romance. Yet, it is precisely this austere simplicity that creates an attraction difficult to name, as if Mecca does not seek to please the senses, but instead reaches directly into the deepest layers of the human mind. The city lies cradled in a barren valley in western Saudi Arabia, surrounded by naked rock mountains and stretches of desert reaching toward the horizon. On the map, Mecca does not sit in a fertile or comfortable location. The climate is unforgiving, the heat relentless, the land dry and stony. Everything about it seems to contradict the usual idea of a blessed place. And perhaps it is exactly within these seemingly inhospitable conditions that Mecca takes on the character of a chosen land, not meant for rest or physical comfort, but for testing, refining, and purifying the spirit. For many, the journey to Mecca is not merely a geographical passage, but a process of letting go, where every kilometer closer to the sacred city is another layer of worldly noise left behind. At the center of everything, the Kaaba emerges as a perfect paradox. It is a cube that tells almost no story through form. It does not rise high, it is not ornate, it does not display power. Placed elsewhere, it might attract little attention. But within the vast courtyard of Masjid al Haram, the Kaaba becomes an absolute anchor. It stands still while everything around it moves. It remains silent while millions whisper their prayers. The black cloth of the Kiswah that covers it, embroidered with Arabic calligraphy in gold, is not meant as decoration, but as a veil over the sacred, a reminder that some things exist not to be displayed, but to be revered from a distance. Standing close to the Kaaba, one begins to notice that it is not perfect in the sense of polished smoothness. There is a door set above ground level, making entry deliberately difficult. There is a small spout above, where rainwater flows down, a strikingly human detail within a sacred space. There is the black stone set into the eastern corner, the starting point of Tawaf, always crowded yet never loud, because everyone understands what they are standing before. These details make the Kaaba not an abstract symbol, but a living presence, bearing the marks of time and history. What makes the Kaaba most extraordinary is the movement of people around it. The ritual of Tawaf, 7 counterclockwise circles, turns the Kaaba into the center of an unending current. Seen from above, the crowd swirling around it resembles a living galaxy, where each individual is a tiny particle, yet never lost. Imagining oneself within that flow, the sensation is not one of being overwhelmed, but of being gently diminished. The ego slowly contracts, footsteps fall into a shared rhythm. People instinctively make way for one another, adjust their pace, become more patient. In the midst of the crowd, no one is the center, because the center is already there. Many who have performed Tawaf speak of a profound stillness, even as they are surrounded by dense crowds. It is not a silence of space, but a quieting within. Some find themselves crying without knowing why. Others feel time slow down, as if each circle washes away a layer of worry. In Mecca, the question of who am I seems to dissolve, replaced by a deeper sense of where do I belong? Differences of nationality, language, skin color, or social status fade before a single shared act, walking around the Kaaba in absolute humility. Around the Kaaba, the story of Mecca unfolds through other points of connection. There is the Zamzam well, where pilgrims drink not out of thirst, but out of faith in a flow that has existed since the earliest times. There is the Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, where human footsteps reenact a mother's desperate search for water, turning a deeply human struggle for survival into an eternal ritual. These acts make Mecca not only a place of the divine, but also a place of profoundly human stories, of exhaustion, hope, fear, and perseverance. For the modern traveler, Mecca is a singular place because not everyone is allowed to enter. Non-Muslims are prohibited from entering the city, and this boundary is strictly enforced. Yet this very limitation preserves a rare quality in the age of mass tourism. Mecca has not been turned into a site for casual curiosity. Those who cannot enter can still draw near in other ways, through long documentaries of the pilgrimage, through memoirs written by those who returned with a changed view of life, or by standing in nearby cities like Jeddah to understand the cultural context that has shaped this sacred place. Today, Mecca is surrounded by towering hotels, pedestrian bridges, crowd control systems, and modern medical infrastructure, all designed to serve millions at once. Yet amid all this modernity, the core experience of Mecca remains one of reduction. The state of Ihram strips away clothing and social status. Tawaf strips away the illusion of the self as the center. The quiet spaces between rituals remind people that traveling far is not always about accumulating more, but about shedding what is unnecessary. Mecca is not a place one visits and leaves with a handful of beautiful photographs. It is more like a soft yet persistent whisper, reminding us that the world is not driven solely by money, technology, or power, but also by invisible currents of faith. Whether one is Muslim, follows another religion, or follows none at all, Mecca stands as a powerful symbol of humanity's ability to turn together towards something greater than itself. Perhaps that is why Mecca never needs to invite anyone. The city simply remains there, amid sun and stone, amid an unending flow of pilgrims, like a fixed point in a constantly moving world. And sometimes, simply knowing that such a place exists, a place where millions walk, pause, and orient themselves toward a single center, is enough to make us feel that we are part of a story far larger than everyday life.